Hey, it's the Mystic Alter Hypnotherapy channel, and today I'm going to talk about past life regressions, and in particular, my past life regression story. So, I have two of them, and maybe I'll talk about both of them. One of them, the first one I'm going to talk about, was for my claustrophobia that I had. It wasn't very awful claustrophobia, but it was it wasn't cool. I wasn't into it. Um, it was mild, but didn't like it. And so in school, I got a lot of hypnotherapy done on me, which was awesome. It was one of the best parts about school. And so my teacher did a hypnotherapy session on me, and I took myself to a past life. She didn't do a past life regression on me, and so actually that can happen. There is a particular method for past life regression in which you are taken back. And also, there's times in a hypnotherapy session when you take yourself back to a past life. Now, however you feel about past lives is up to you. You can see it metaphorically as a dream, or if you believe in past lives, then well, you believe in past lives. So you might believe that that happened to you. And so for my claustrophobia, what happened was I was taken to, I don't even know what year it was, but I was in a cylinder block kind of cell that was maybe like 30 by 10 feet by myself. There was just a bench in there, nothing else but a bench. And in the rest of the facility, it seemed like it was in the middle of the desert. So I was viewing this all from above, like floating, and I was about 12 years old, the person who was viewing this situation. And so at this point, I had no idea that the person in the cell was me. The person in the cell was a young man, maybe in his 20s, and I, as a 12-year-old floating thing person, was like viewing this entire thing. And so at this point, at the beginning, I didn't know that that was me in the cell. And so I don't know if it was like a prisoner of war thing or what it was, but so I realized that I was in sort of the middle of the desert in this cylinder block, and it was kind of deserted. The whole place was pretty deserted. I didn't see anyone else around anywhere. And the person in the cylinder block prison type thing was scared and sad and felt very, very alone and abandoned and hopeless. And so my 12-year-old self was like, I'm going to get this person out of here. And so I somehow got this like big sledgehammer and was trying to sledgehammer the door open. And the door kind of opened, but it only opened a little crack. And I could kind of see in, and it was all dark in there, but I couldn't open the door. And he was in there. And there was just no way for me to open the door. And so um, I didn't know what to do, and I started preparing a backpack for him. I put all kinds of things in it: a water bottle, food, any supplies that he might need in his trip once I released him. And so for some reason it just wouldn't work, but I was able to see him through the top of the cylinder, kind of like see through it. And I could see him in there. And then once I realized that I was that person, all of a sudden the door opened, and um, he was able to come out of that prison. And then I gave him the backpack, and he just started running and running and running and running until he got to a forest type place, or like trees, something, mountains. And I ended up meeting up with my sister, but of course it was a different person then, but it was my sister um, now, but a different person then to me, and a friend of mine from school that I knew from like kindergarten to eighth grade that I graduated, who I'm not going to say their name because I don't know, that might be awkward. um, and at that point, I felt very free. Um, when I came out of the regression, I had a lot of feelings to deal with. I was crying a lot, releasing a lot, and that's a cool thing in hypnotherapy is when you cry in hypnotherapy, it feels so cool and good. Like it's a different kind of crying cuz crying literally is releasing your emotions in a tangible way. But when you do it in hypnotherapy, you are digging deep. Like you're not just like I'm crying, oh my god. You're like I'm crying. I'm letting it go. And it feels really good. It feels cool. And but it also is really exhausting. And so when I came out of that one, I was pretty exhausted. I needed to meditate and kind of like release. You know, sometimes with hypnotherapy, that's why I teach self hypnosis and meditation because even though hypnotherapy is a big release, um, you still need to be able to find ways to cope with everything afterwards. You know, like you're letting a lot go. There's a lot going on. So it's good to be able to find other ways to cope and release and meditate and clear your mind and clear those things out of you, you know. So my other past life regression that I did was like actually a past life regression. A another student in the class did it on me, and it was pretty cool. Um, I ended up being maybe in like the 1800s at something like that, 1800s, and well, first I'll go back. My first memory that I visited in this life was when I was 16 and I went, or it was for my 16th birthday, and me and my family and my friends went horseback riding. And it was so cool because I just, for some reason, I was like, I want to go horseback riding. It's so fun. And I'd never done it before. So we all went horseback riding, and it was really, really cool. And I really enjoyed it. So that was a memory I went to. And then after that, I went to a memory when I was 5 years old. And that was when my sister was born. I was so happy. I wanted a sister so bad. And I remember the memory I took myself to was when she was born. And so it was me and my dad walking through the hospital to go see my mom and my sister in the room, and I just was able to revisit that memory and feel how happy I felt. It was really cool, and I got to see my sister. I was so happy. I climbed up on the bed with my mom and my sister and was just able to feel total happiness and revisit those memories of me and my whole family just together hanging out and how happy I was that she was born. And then after that, I went through my life between lives. Um, which for most people is a white glow kind of thing, blissful. And then you travel into the next life. And when I got into the next life, I was wearing like a long skirt that was like, you know, kind of like suit material with buttons going down, and a hat, like a big brimmed hat, and kind of like a collared shirt with a buttoned and collared things, and like, you know, fancy shoes. And I ended up being at a horse track race. So usually um, past life regressions will, the memories that you're visiting are going to help you correspond with the memories from a past life. You know, it's like the patterns in which we've been following. And so I ended up at a horse track race, which makes sense because I was riding horses at my 16th birthday. And I was with the person who was like a best friend, lover type person. She was wearing she was a little more like edgy than me, I guess, because she was wearing like black and kind of like, flowers on her hat and like more flirtatious and stuff. And she was a best friend, my best friend and lover or something. And she had, we were eating cherries and betting on horses at the horse track race. It was pretty cool. And then I went back, then I went and got older in the memory, and I ended up being at like kind of like a candy type shop with this man who was courting me, and I think he was like my potential like husband or something, and he was like buying me things and like doing really nice things for me, and like want like we were falling in love or something, and then so that was a cool memory. And then I went back and got older, and I was in my house, which was a giant, like, wooden type room that was lit with by candles. And there was a big bed in the middle of the room, and I was a midwife, and I was helping someone birth their daughter, which was actually my granddaughter. And so I was chilling in the room, helping this baby come out of to life. I was bringing this baby, birthing, helping it be birthed, and bringing it out into the world. And that was my job in the past life. When I got older, was a midwife. And sometimes people would come to my house, and sometimes I guess I would go to other people's houses. And so that was cool. And then finally, I got into the point where I was an old lady. And because, you're traveling through your life. So at that point, I would probably be traveling to my next life after that, but we stopped. So I was an old lady, and I was sitting in the room, the same room, on a chair next to the bed. And my granddaughter was sitting at my legs with her head, like, on my knees, like that, and just like I had other family in the room, and they were all kind of like gathering and just like happy to see each other. Some of them hadn't seen each other in a long time, just like enjoying each other's company. And then my granddaughter led me to my bed, and I laid down, and I got really comfortable, and I pulled the blankets on me, and I felt, all of a sudden, I just noticed all my family around me and everyone like loving each other, and I could like sense the warmth in the room, like as though it was an emotion, like love. It was pure love and compassion and care, just all filling the whole room, and everyone was together, and they were so happy to be together. And they were sad that I was leaving, but um, they were happy to be together. And then I remember thinking, in the end, when you're lying there and you've done your whole life, the only thing that matters is love. Love is intangible, it's tangible, it's floating around you, it's inside you, you can share it. Love is so beautiful. Love is the basis of existence, and that's what I learned from that past life regression, is that love is probably the only thing that really matters. And that's how I feel. And that brought to me, I knew that love was all you need, but like when I had that experience, it was so enlightening. It was, I really truly felt it. I, lying in that bed, I didn't have anything anymore, and I didn't need anything anymore. And the only thing that mattered was that all these people were together loving each other, and that I loved them too. And then I passed on into my life between lives. And when that happened, um, everything was like white and blissful and beautiful, kind of like cloudy white light shining. And there's a hypnotherapist who actually studied life between lives. He would take past life regression clients and he would keep them in their life between lives and have them explore. And a lot of them, you can look it up. Wait, let me see what his name is. Life between lives. Sorry, I should have had this prepared, but I kind of just thought of it. Oh, the Newton Institute for Life Between Lives. And so that's the name of it, the Newton Institute for Life Between Lives. And his name is Newton, or that's his last name. So you can look it up. But basically, he did research on life between lives. And a lot of people didn't really want to say what they were experiencing, almost like it was taboo, like they couldn't tell him what it was they were experiencing. And in these sessions, he didn't do any suggestions. So he didn't suggest to them, like, oh, are you feeling like you're floating on a cloud? He didn't do that. And also, when I do dreamlike state hypnotherapy, I don't ever suggest, like, oh, do you feel like you're walking on a yellow path on the yellow brick road? No, I would never suggest something. I would say, like, where are you? What are you doing? How old are you? How do you feel? Because I'm not suggesting, like, and you have a flower in your hair. Like, no, you don't do that. And so that's what he did with his life between lives, is he would just sort of like, ask questions like, where are you now? What's happening now? And I won't get too into it because I think that's a whole nother video, but you can look into it. It's really interesting. A lot of people have very similar accounts of what happens in their life between lives, and it's really, really interesting. And I guess I kind of have experienced it a little bit, but I never hung out in my life between lives. I kind of just was like, doo doo doo, passing through. Hey, cool. So that was cool. But so those are the two past life regressions that I've done, and I've also done them on other people. Like maybe I'll start posting um, some stories eventually when if I can ask people if they're okay with it. I can start interviewing people on their past life regressions because it's pretty interesting, and you should look into it, see what you think about it. That's all for now. The past life regressions. Thanks for being so cool and hanging out. Okay, I'm trying to make these videos shorter, but I guess I talk a lot. Okay, have a wonderful life and cool.